Let's do it.
Will you all please rise for the prayer? Dear God, today as this session opens, we pray that your presence will be before us and everyone who serves in the decision-making process of our city. We pray for direction which will lead our city to be strong and unified. May we continue the legacy of our founders. May we be granted this day the wisdom to make decisions which will be for the good of our city. We also pray for your special blessing on all those who are working to transform our city and make it a better place to live and work. Amen. Salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The clerk, please call the roll.
Counsel Leahy. Here. Counsel Martin.
Here.
Counsel Mercia.
Here.
Counsel Milonazo.
Here.
Counsel Rourke.
Here.
Counsel Samaras.
Here.
Counsel Belanger.
Here.
Mayor Elliott.
Here.
Counsel Kennedy.
Here.
That's 9 yeas.
9
Nine
yeas.
present, excuse me.
9 present. Chair would like to recognize Councilor Rita Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Forgive me if I'm not with it with this. I just found this out a few minutes ago. I'd like to offer a moment of silence and darkened chamber for Hubert Francis Martin. He was educated at St. Patrick's School, followed by his graduation from Lowell High School in 1936 with an additional year in postgraduate degree. He then joined the CCC, which is a Civilian Conservation Corps. It was there that Hubert got his start as a salesman and a business manager because he was assigned the position of canteen steward. Shortly after leaving the CCC, he received his letter from President FDR inviting him to join a multitude of young men to honorably serve our great country in World War II. His allegiance to his country brought him to Europe, where he was appointed to join the 8th Army Air Force under the command of Colonel Probesco, eventually becoming a close aide to the colonel, traveling in various camps with him all around Europe. After being honorably discharged from the Air Force, he attended the New England School of Watch Repair, followed by a course in jewelry repair. I know that he's from Westford, but I bring his name up and honor him with a moment of silence in darkened chamber because sometimes we forget about the business people that choose Lowell as their place of business. And he was a person that was a great businessman. He established his own business in the Fairburn building in the heart of downtown Lowell. He later purchased the building at the corner of Middlesex and Central Street, where he operated Martin Jewelers as a family business for over 60 years. I knew him personally, him and his lovely wife, Thelma. This is what a business owner is all about. He had a great rapport with the public. He was just an inspiration. You enjoyed going in there. Even if you didn't want to buy anything, you kind of wanted to go in there and talk to him. And he was just an amazing man. Hubert is survived by his loving wife of almost 65 years, Thelma, his loving daughter, Taomi Martin Dooley. He has 5 grandchildren, and I was honored to know him, and very grateful for his business in the city for over 60 years. We wish him, his family, the condolences, and may he rest in peace. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Can we all please rise for a moment of silence and darkened chambers. May you rest in peace. First item on the agenda in the mayor's business is a proclamation to Maria St. Catherine McConnell. proclaiming May 18th through 24th to be John Jacob Rogers and U.S. Foreign Service Remembrance Week in Lowell, Massachusetts. Somebody would like to come up to accept it to the podium, please? This is a proclamation. Right there would be fine. I will read it. It's a little bit lengthy, but it's well worth it. In the city of Lowell, Commonwealth of Massachusetts, by His Honor Rodney M. Elliott, the mayor, a proclamation. Whereas the Commonwealth of Massachusetts was one of the original 13 American colonies engaged in the fight for independence from Great Britain, and this early American and Massachusetts history includes the formation of early American political processes, the pioneering of American diplomacy, and the development of the American diplomatic and foreign service traditions. Whereas the Commonwealth of Massachusetts contributed to the political cause of the American diplomacy from the early days of the American Republic from 1776 to the present through the public service, political lives, and leadership legacies of many of her native sons, including native sons from the city of Lowell. Whereas John Jacob Rogers, a Republican statesman and native son from the city of Lowell, Massachusetts, who served in the U.S. House of Representatives from 1913 to 1925, is one of the many statesmen from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts who is accredited with effecting historic change in the American diplomatic and U.S. Foreign Service history. Whereas Representative John Jacob Rogers worked with Wilbur Carr of the U.S. Department of State in drafting early versions of the 1924 U.S. Foreign Service Act to effect a heightened professionalism with the Foreign Service of the United States. Whereas Representative John Jacob Roberts authored the final version of the 1924 U.S. Foreign Service Act, which unified the U.S. Diplomatic Service and the U.S. Consular Service, thereby establishing the modern U.S. Foreign Service in existence today. Whereas Representative John Jacob Rogers sponsored and advocated on behalf of the act in the U.S. House of Representatives, which resulted in the signing of the U.S. Foreign Service Act into law by former Massachusetts Governor President Calvin Coolidge on Saturday, May 24th, 1924. Whereas from 1776 to the present, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, through her statesmen, stateswomen, and diplomats, including those from the city of Lowell, such as Representative John Jacob Rogers, has helped to pioneer, architect, promote, and advance American statescraft, American diplomacy, and American diplomatic and foreign service history. Whereas Representative John Jacob Rogers died in office on March 19th, 1925, just 10 months after having given to the nation the 1924 U.S. Foreign Service Act as its lasting political and legislative legacy of public service, shares with Wilbur Carr the title of Father of Modern U.S. Foreign Service. Whereas Saturday, May 24th, 2014, commemorates the 90th anniversary of the signing of the 1924 U.S. Foreign Service Act, also known as the Rogers Act. Whereas during this week, preceding Memorial Day, May 26, 2014, it is right, proper, and just that the city of Lowell should hold in solemn memory and remembrance those statesmen, stateswomen, and diplomats from the city, living and deceased, especially Lowell native son, Rep. John Jacob Rogers, and his spouse, Representative Edith North Rogers, Republican, Lowell, 1925 through 1960, who helped pioneer, architect, establish, advance, promote, and protect American political, diplomatic, and foreign service interests. Now, therefore, I, Rodney M. Elliott, Mayor of the City of Lowell, Massachusetts, do hereby proclaim May 18th through May 24th to be Representative John Jacob Rogers and U.S. Foreign Service Remembrance Week in Lowell, Massachusetts. And we urge all citizens and residents of Lowell to take cognizance of this event and participate fittingly in its given this 20th day of May 2014. By myself, on behalf of all my colleagues in government, thank you and congratulations.
Thank you, Mayor Elliott, and I thank the council members of the Lowell City Council. I gratefully and with deepest esteem and respect for your history of your native son, John Jacob Rogers, accept this proclamation, and with all excitement and respect for his legacy, we'll celebrate this evening the history of your native son, John Jacob Rogers, and we'll do so with great esteem for those from Lowell who will celebrate with us and those from around the Commonwealth who will come here to Lowell to do so tonight. Thank you very much.
And just quickly, my name is Sean Thibodeau. I'm the coordinator of community planning at the library, and I'd like to thank you on behalf of Library Director Victoria Woodley, who couldn't be here. We're very excited to accept this proclamation and find a place for it on the walls of the library alongside the Edith Norris Rogers proclamation of a few years ago. And just mention to the counselors and maybe the TV audience, we are having a reception over at the library after this, so maybe after you adjourn, there's lots of cake. And everyone loves cake, so please join us. Yep. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the cake. Moving on to the next item on the agenda is a vote to appoint the appointment of the city auditor. Each councilor will name the desired candidates. There are 5 votes needed for appointment. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Counsel Leahy.
Hannah York.
Counsel Martin.
Hannah York.
Counsel Mercia.
Hannah York.
Counsel Milazzo.
Hannah York.
Counsel Rourke.
Hannah York.
Counsel Samaras.
Hannah York.
Counsel Belanger.
Hannah York.
Mayor Elliott.
Hannah York.
Counsel Kennedy.
Hannah York.
It's 9.
9 yeas for Hannah York. Hannah York is appointed as the new city auditor. In accordance, we'll proceed with the vote, the proper vote that's been drawn up. Appointing of a city auditor and establishing a salary for said position. Motion to waive the full reading by Council Rourke, seconded by Council Milazzo. All those in favor signify by saying aye, and the opposed, motion carries. Second reading by title. You know what? We have to read this entire vote, correct? In the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, City of Lowell, in City Council, a vote electing, appointing a city auditor, and establishing a salary for said position. The City Council reviewed applications and conducted interviews in connection with the election of a new city auditor. Be it here voted by the City Council of the City of Lowell as follows. It was voted by the City Council of the City of Lowell to appoint Hannah York to the position of city auditor, said appointment to be effective today, Madam Solicitor? May 20th, tomorrow. It'll be effective tomorrow at 9 p.m., at which time she will be sworn in, and she shall hold said position for 3-year term, expiring May 21st, 2017, or until her predecessor is qualified during the pleasure of the City Council, all in accordance with Plan E Charter, Mass General Law, Chapter 43, Section 18(4), and Mass General Law, Chapter 41, Section 48, as amended. The next section is on the salary, but I don't think we have established that salary, so roll call on that portion of the agenda. That portion of the vote.
Counsel Leahy.
Can I
Counsel Leahy?
have discussion first?
Sure.
I wasn't ready. I wasn't sure we were going to do that tonight. Were we going to discuss what the range was? Or?
No, this is just to appoint her to the
Just to
position of
appoint her
auditor
first.
for a 3-year term. There is a provision for the salary, but I agree, we're not ready to do that
Oh,
tonight.
all right. It sounded like, all right. So,
So I think we should take this vote and then perhaps have myself
oh,
and
yeah,
and
that's
the
fine. It
auditor.
sounded like we were doing the salary, so.
No, we're not, I'm
All right,
sorry.
So the vote is for
Appointment.
For the appointment,
the appointment. Okay, so yes.
okay?
Okay.
Motion
Sorry.
Motion to approve by Counsel Leahy, seconded by Counsel Kennedy.
Counsel Leahy.
Yes.
Counsel Martin.
Yes.
Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
Counsel Milonazo.
Yes.
Counsel Rourke.
Yes.
Counsel Samaras.
Yes.
Counsel Belanger.
Yes.
Mayor Elliott.
Yes.
Counsel Kennedy.
Yes.
That's 9 yeas.
On the salary, what is the wish of the council? Should the solicitor and myself, Counsel?
I would move that the solicitor and the mayor meet with the new city auditor to negotiate salary.
Okay. Motion by Counsel Milonazo, second by Counsel Samaras, that the mayor and the city solicitor sit down tomorrow or the following, as soon as possible, to discuss salary. Further discussion on that item? Roll call.
Counsel Leahy.
Yes.
Counsel Martin.
Yes.
Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
Counsel Milonazo.
Yes.
Counsel Rourke.
Yes.
Counsel Samaras.
Yes.
Counsel Belanger.
Yes.
Mayor Elliott.
Yes.
Counsel Kennedy.
Yes.
That's 9 yeas.
Yeah, I will reach out to Ms. York and set up a meeting tomorrow. Counsel Belanger?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Have we established a starting date for her? I may have even asked the question, but I don't recall.
We did not. I believe during the interview, she indicated she would have to give 2 weeks' notice.
Okay, so we'll be looking at middle of June in that. Okay, thank you.
I can find that out after the meeting. Madam Counsel? Musser?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would just like to take this time to offer a huge thank you to our acting city auditor, Karen O'Byrne, for filling in and doing a tremendous job. We were always in good hands with her in charge, and we're very, very proud and thankful for you stepping to the plate. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I agree. Good job. Thank you. Did we clap for you, Mr. Clerk, when you stood in?
It was a standing ovation.
Your Honor.
Counsel Leahy?
Thank you. And obviously, we'll send a letter to the other applicants, thanking them for applying and for being a finalist.
Yes. I did receive a call from Ms. Callery prior to the meeting saying that as soon as that candidate is selected, that, she will proceed with the process as well. So
Thank
I'll
you.
make sure that we get a hold of Mary Callery, too. Further discussion on item 1.2? Moving on to the city clerk's portion of the agenda, are the minutes of the special meeting of May 12th, minutes of the Youth Services Subcommittee of May 13th, minutes of the city council meeting on May 13th, and minutes of the special meeting for May 15th as well. Move approval by Counsel Kennedy, second by Counsel Belanger. All those in favor to accept and place on file signify by saying aye. And the opposed? Motion carries. Utility public hearings, it's not 7 o'clock yet, so we'll proceed with item number 4 under communications from the city manager. Communication summaries, motion responses, items A through E. Questions? Counsel Rourke?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Counsel Samaras?
Through you to the city manager. Mr. Manager, with regards to motion response A with the precincts, is there a specific place or a date of, to open up and get it going for the superintendent's second precinct?
Yes, the superintendent of police will be advertising for space. We have to publicly bid for that space. In Centerville, we're preferring it to be on Lower Bridge Street, but they will be bid, and we'll be trying to place it in Lower Bridge Street in Centerville on that one. But the bids are going to be going out very soon.
Thank you.
Counsel Samaras?
I just want to commend the chief. I just want to read a line from his report. The realignment of personnel to provide for this priority was accomplished without reducing our emergency response capabilities in cruiser districts. I think the chief has to be commended for thinking about how to do this and how to do this in a fashion that will ensure that our citizens are safe. We as city councilors, I remember running, for this election. This was very important to to people in the city of Lowell, and I think his response has been professional and on time, timely, and well thought out.
Thank you, Counselor. Counsel Belanger?
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor, to the manager. I'd like to comment on a previous motion and the motion was made by Mayor Elliott, and it stemmed from a downtown meeting that Mayor Elliott and myself attended about weekend staff cleaning downtown streets, and I just want to let, Mr. Manager, I just want to commend you when going to work on Sunday morning, late morning, coming down Central Street. There was cleaning staff on the street on Central Street, and I did not see a wrapper from literally the whole length of Central Street, so I cannot tell you how pleasing that was to me. For years and years, I would always see overflowing barrels, almost always trash in the gutters, but it was spotless. So I can't tell you how pleasing that was to see. So congratulations, I commend you for a job well done, and I think it's a real win for the downtown residents. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor. If there's no objection, I just wanted to chime in a little bit. I agree. It was a very busy time in the city this weekend with UMass Lowell graduations and events at the auditorium, as well as a Lowell General Hospital walk. So it was nice to see the downtown in good shape. Further discussion, Council Leahy.
Just one other comment through you to the manager on the crosswalk and line painting throughout the city. So we've received a few emails this month asking about that, and here it is. So just to let everybody know at home that we are starting to paint the street lines and the crosswalks. And again, the city looks great with the weekend cleaning. And I had called Henry at the office too. I see the street sweepers, the vacuums further up Bridge Street and Middlesex Street, so that's great. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Rourke.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Actually, through you to our traffic engineer, Mr. Eby. With response to motion B, I have kind of a similar question, but to a different area of the city. I have gotten some calls, and as a council, we've had some emails concerning the Rourke Bridge traffic. I believe it was last September, the city made some changes in the traffic lights that made a huge difference. And the backup now seems to be heavier than before. Is that something that we looked into going forward?
Yes, I got an email today from the mayor as well as the councilors, and I went out this afternoon and took a look at the signal equipment out there, and it's only getting 23 seconds of green time right now for the bridge. I thought we had more than that on there when we first put the camera up. I'm going to check with the city electrician tomorrow and see if he's got some adjustments that he's made to it, and we'll take some more observations to make sure we got enough green time on that bridge. I thought we had more than that, so.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Eby. Further discussion on motion responses? Motion to approve by Councilor Leahy, second by Councilor Martin. All those in favor signify by saying aye to accept and place on file. All the opposed, motion carries. Next item under Section 5, votes from the city manager. Vote to order to transfer $24,363.61 to meet current expenses in the police department of the city of Lowell for the fiscal year 2014. Motion to waive the full reading by Councilor Kennedy, second by Councilor Leahy. All those in favor signify by saying aye, and the opposed, motion carries. Second reading by title, ordered in City Council. Order to transfer $24,363.61 to meet current expenses in the police department of the city of Lowell for fiscal year 2014. What's the wish of the body?
Move approval.
By Council Mercia, second by Council Samaras. Discussion? If there's no objection, I just have a quick question, Mr. Manager. This, or Mr. Chief Financial Officer, is this transfer, is this going to be carry us through the end of the year for overtime? This for overtime, correct?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, this is the anticipated number that will get us through June 30th, taking it from accounts within the police department expense side that will have balances through the end of the year.
Okay, do we know where this overtime is going? Is there some area in particular that it's being met? We
Well, I think the superintendent has, his restructuring plan in place. The bicycle patrols are about to hit the streets, and in order to get a sort of jump start on the spring season as the daytime is longer, he wants to have some presence in the areas that before the summer begins in full swing, so there will be some need for some overtime, but it'll be generally spread through more of the park and open space and bicycle patrol areas.
The overtime is going to be spread fairly equally across the board, or in?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Further discussion? Roll call.
Counsel Leahy.
Yes.
Counsel Martin.
Yes.
Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
Counsel Milonazo.
Yes.
Counsel Rourke.
Yes.
Counsel Samaras.
Yes.
Counsel Belanger.
Yes.
Mayor Elliott.
Yes.
Counsel Kennedy.
Yes.
9 yeas.
9 yeas, motion carries. Next item, number 6. Reports from subcommittee. I don't believe there are any subcommittee meetings, but Counsel Milonazo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to report that the Cultural Subcommittee will be meeting next Tuesday at 5:30 to get an update from Cool and Case. And I did inform both Council Leahy and Councilor Mercia, who are members of that subcommittee.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
Other subcommittee reports or notifications? Seeing none, we'll move on to petitions. Under item number 7, 7.1, there are 2 claims for property damage. Motion to refer to the Law Department for report and recommendation by Council Mercia, seconded by Council Milonazo. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Under item 7.2, there's a miscellaneous petition. Safali Patel of Lowell requests a streetlight be installed at Pine Tree and Sandy Lane. Would you like to come and speak on your petition? Good evening and welcome.
Just wanted to make everyone aware that on my street, this is the 3rd incident where someone's car got broken into, and the night my car got broken into, my sister and my cousin's car got broken into as well on my driveway. And there's no street light. It's completely pitch dark after the sun sets, and just want street lights to be put in.
Thank you. Could we get your name and address for the record?
My name's Safali Patel.
Okay. And what is your address?
30 Pine Tree Lane.
30 Pine Tree Lane. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Congratulations for filing this and coming to the City Council. We're going to refer this to the City Manager and Public Works to come back with a recommendation.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
We do have your name and address, so we will give this to the City Manager, and he will be in touch with you. Motion to refer to the City Manager and Department of Public Works by Councilor Rourke, seconded by Councilor Samaras. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. And the opposed, motion carries. Still not 7 o'clock? Okay, we'll have to fix the clock, that's slow. We'll move right into the public hearing, scheduled for 7 p.m. First public hearing is Greater Lowell Engineering Association for Enterprise Bank requesting underground electric conduit at 18 and 19 Palmer Street. For the second reading by title, Greater Lowell Engineer, a motion to waive the full reading by Councilor Samaras, second by Council Milonazo. All those in favor signify by saying aye, and the opposed. That motion carries. Second reading by title. Greater Lowell Engineering Association for Enterprise Bank request underground electric conduit at 18 and 19 Palmer Street. I will now open the public hearing for those wishing to speak in favor. In favor.
David Biotti with Greater Lowell Engineering. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Mr. City Manager, council members. We're just proposing to install 2 conduits across the street on Palmer between 19 and 18 so that Enterprise Bank can connect their fiber optic lines between the existing office and the new office that they're leasing. We are obviously going to attempt to conform with the wishes of the building department and the city engineers department in as far as the scheduling goes, and we will restore the typical section of the roadway to the existing condition.
Thank you, Mr. Biotti. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? In favor? In favor. Seeing none, that portion of the hearing is closed. Anyone to speak, wishing to speak in opposition? In opposition? In opposition, seeing none, that portion of the hearing is closed. Motion to refer to the wire inspector for report and recommendations by Councilman Mercia, second by Councilman Milanazzo. All those in favor signify by saying aye. And the opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, going back to, we're under motion, City Council motions. First motion of the night by Councilor Rourke. Request City Manager explore dedication of a rock in memory of William LaPointe at the Lowell Boys and Girls Club. Second by Councilor Milanazzo. Councilor Rourke.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This motion I filed tonight is almost like unfinished business from a few years ago. The council had previously voted to have some sort of dedication for Mr. LaPointe at the Lowell Boys and Girls Club on Middlesex Street. Bill LaPointe has a significant history in Lowell. He was born and raised in the Acre. He was an Army veteran who served in the Korean War. He also founded the Acre Youth Organization, Lowell Junior Football, and was assistant director of Lowell's Silver Mittens program for 16 years. He was a Lowell business owner, worked for the city as a meter reader in the water department, and was also the city's civil defense director in the early 60s, as well as being Lowell's election commissioner for over 15 years. In 1990, he was named Lowell's Man of the Year by the Boys Club, where he served for over 25 years. He was a positive influence for so many of Lowell's youth at the time. I feel the time is appropriate now for such a dedication. Thank you.
There are people registered to speak.
Keith Rudy.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Manager and your administration, City Councilors. First of all, Mr. Mayor, if I may, I'd just like to thank the past City Council as well as this City Council and administration for the honor you bestowed on me personally for naming a field after me behind the Bartlett School. And what a segue going into Bill LaPointe, because I don't think it ever would have happened. I know it wouldn't have happened without the leadership that I had received from Bill LaPointe as a young man. I don't know if I can say enough about Bill LaPointe, and I'll save it for my dedication, but the guy was amazing. Every kid that people didn't want to deal with and you put him in a corner, that was probably the kid Bill wanted to work with. He was so inspiring by his leadership and his example. If you enjoyed sports, you wanted to play around and stuff, you had to earn it. If you were a little, out of the way, you didn't play. And you probably sat outside crying because you couldn't participate. It's just the way Bill. And if you were a tough kid, Bill had an answer for you. Put the gloves on, we went upstairs in the attic, and we had a little boxing ring up there. So many of your fighters probably started there, Mickey Ward and Dickie Eklund, as well as many others. But I think I never had a dad growing up, and I always looked at Bill as my dad. There, when I got in trouble in school, or when I was being honored in school, being the Boy of the Year in 1974, entering the service, a lot of things that I think I've achieved in my life, I probably wouldn't have achieved them without Bill LaPointe's guidance. So I think to stand here before you, I'm just trembling worse than probably any boxing match I ever had, just thinking how special Bill LaPointe was, not only to me, but tens of thousands of youths in the city. So I am honored, and I hope the City Council would allow the city to pay honor to Bill LaPointe. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rudy.
Bob McGinnis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members and other people. I'm a Draker resident, but I spent a lot of time in Lowell. I grew up at partially at the Hosford Children's Home when I was a small youth. In Keith's article, I saw it in the paper, and I contacted him because he talked about Bill LaPointe from the Boys Club in the 60s and beyond. Well, I was playing Little League ball for Bill LaPointe in 1955. So Bill was just out of Korea, and his nominee, his brother-in-law, was the assistant coach. So he was doing those things long before he got involved with, maybe it's political, I don't know what it is, when you become all these different things that he was for the city. But he always had a thing for youth, and he was just unbelievable. I mean, I'm a 71-year-old man, and this fella, when he was just in his early 20s, was coaching kids. He never married, never had any children, never had anything like that. And some memorial for him, to me, would be, he's not going to know about it. He's only got 2 surviving sisters, and one of them's in pretty bad health. And there's nobody really, and Bill's going to be here looking down, I know he is. He's just deserves something. And to have Keith tell me that they took a tour of the boys club and around that area, and nobody seemed to know who the heck this guy was. Well, a lot of kids know, and they're not kids anymore. There's police officers. I mean, I'm a retired lieutenant of the state police in Massachusetts. So not that it's anything, but I know some of the people, when I was coaching the girls softball in Dracut, I bumped into the other coach. He's a friend. He was on the 55 Little League team. This is the same as I was. He's coaching. There's a lot of people that coached and, did it the Bill's way. Sunday, I was at the Lowell Cemetery. I saw many of you people there, honoring the people from the wars and the GAR site. And this fella should have something. And that's one of the things I'm here for, trying to get you to, the city of, those people are no longer, a lot of them, Bill's been gone 9 years, but there's a lot of kids that are adults now that have a lot to that man. And I just glad you listened to me, and thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McGinnis. We appreciate it.
Former Councilor Marty Laurie.
Thank you. And I'd like to thank, first of all, I'd like to begin by thanking Councilor O'Rourke for bringing this back before the council. My story is a little bit different with Bill Lapointe than Keithy. I met Bill years ago. I wasn't involved with the Boys Club. I was involved with the Lowell Sportsman Club. My father was president. And we would bring the kids out from the Boys Club a couple of times a year to go fishing, and we'd put out hot dogs and hamburgers. But more often than not, you'd see 2 or 3 buses of kids from the Boys Club come out, and there was one chaperone, Bill Lapointe. After that, I got to know Bill a little bit. And over the years, every time you saw Bill, he was involved with the league, with the Boys Club, but he was involved with the youth in the city. Years later, as a mailman, I'd be in the building. Bill was a commissioner, election commissioner, I believe, and you'd see Bill in a harried state going out the door. More often than not, it was to help people. Someone would be in need, but that was Bill Lapointe. I know there's a cost to this, and one thing I would like this council to know is Bill was an employee of the city. I think he started maybe in the water department or gas department, but I believe he ended up as the civil defense director. And after his retirement, he served on the board at the election commission. So once again, Bill was always giving, but he was an employee of this city. And by this donation, any monies that the Boys Club has or any future monies that are raised would go to the kids of the city. So I asked the council to take this into consideration and support Councilor Rourke's motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Laurie. For discussion on the motion, Councilor Mercier.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Many, many years ago, that was my neighborhood for 32 years, and the very closest building was the Lowell Boys Club. Today, it's the Boys and Girls of Greater Lowell, but the fact is, it used to be just for the boys, and my kids were young, and they said, "Can we go there, please? Let us go there." And I let them go there, and I soon got to know Bill Lapointe because he would tell the mother or parent if one was not behaving, and so I got to know him quite well. He was just a remarkable man, truly, truly a blessing for the city. Sometimes we look around the city and we don't know the good that is done, in the silence of good that happens, and Bill Lapointe was that person, nestled in the community, mentoring children, molding them to become greater people. And he had touched many, many people's lives, and my sons thought the world of him to this day. And I'm sorry that this motion wasn't made long ago, because I know how much Armin Mercia, former city councilor, and Mayor Armin Mercia loved this guy. It was a cousin of his, and he truly would have loved to have seen this happen. This is an excellent motion, one that I support immensely, because I personally knew the man. He was kind, he was strong. Some kids were fearful of him in a good way, because they knew that if they stepped out of line, he'd be placing a call to their parents. He was a disciplinarian, and the kids respected him. They just really, truly loved this man, as I did as well. He was a great, great man. It's a great motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Rourke.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, we do have Joe Ungler here from the Boys and Girls Club Director, and I would ask that he be allowed to speak briefly.
Motion to suspend the rules by Councilor Rourke, seconded by Councilor Mercia. All those in favor signify by saying aye, and the opposed, motion carries. Mr. Unger, welcome to.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, councilors, and the administration. I've been director here at the Boys and Girls Club in Lowell for 3.5 years, and the name from prior to that I heard more than any other is Bill Lapointe. He is somebody who so many alumni who've come back have told me he's the reason I'm successful today. You know, I was going down the wrong road, and he straightened me out. Or, you know, Marty mentioned the story of the buses. So many people talked about getting off the bus, and many buses with one person. And you're right, the kids did have respect for him because he could control 3 busfuls of kids. We have more chaperones now, but you know, it was the opportunities that he gave those kids who said, I never would have gotten to go to the ball game, I never would have gotten to go to the pool, to the sportsman's club, to whatever it was. He opened up doors for them in so many ways, whether it was opening their eyes to what was possible, whether it was helping them find a career, inspiring them to take advantage of the next level. And he really made a huge difference in their lives, not just at the Boys Club. At the time it was the Boys Club, now it's the Boys and Girls Club, but in so many ways. And that supportive relationship between the staff and the members is really what makes the Boys and Girls Club special. And having that there, I think will really tell the story of the club and keep his memory for generations, because his family may not have many people left in the area, but he has many people who were essentially his family, who were his kids. You know, as I've been researching this, one of the newspaper headlines in the Sun was, in his eyes, there were no bad kids, and that's because he considered them all part of his family. And I'd like to just end with a quote from Bill. He said, if I could leave this earth tomorrow penniless, but the joy of accomplishing things with youth, and I emphasize with all these people, is worth all the money in the world. And he was very true to that, because he gave a lot of his money to buy stuff for the kids, you know, on different days. So he's just a very special person who I think would be wonderful to, if you'd be willing to support it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Unger. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. And the opposed, motion carries. Motion passes. Councilor Leahy, could you take the chair, please?
Last motion of the night by Mayor Elliott, requests that the City Council discuss excise tax demand fees and lost checks for property tax in the Treasurer's Office. Seconded by Councilor Mercia. Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. I decided to file this motion, Mr. Manager, as a result of numerous complaints that my office has received over the last several weeks, and I believe that you have received some as well, And I know this was a problem a number of years ago, a couple of years ago, in fact, Council Mercia filed a motion of a similar nature. And I understand this, you know, the city does not issue those bills. However, it's not an isolated incident. I mean, it's many complaints from folks who pay their bills and come in pretty upset that not only did they not receive their first bill, but then they received the demand fee of $30 on top of that. So one gentleman was so upset, he came in the office a number of times, and the third time I went down to the treasurer's office, treasurer collector's office, and tried to get some answers for him. And, you know, the answer was the same. And it wasn't so much the answer, knowing that I really wasn't sure what the process was. If there was an appeal for someone, I felt bad for this gentleman as well as others. You didn't get the first bill, then you get a fee on top of that bill, and you have to pay for it. And these individuals they're delinquent in their bills. So there is a problem. I'm not sure how to solve it, but I think first and foremost, the customer service, at least by one gentleman in that office, could be a little bit nicer, because I went down and tried to explain the situation with this gentleman, and the explanation, there was no explanation. That's the law. It is what it is. Too bad. So I don't know if there is a solution. I think at one time we thought about petitioning the legislature for some process in the event that you don't get the bill. I can understand if it's one or two, but it's numerous. And so I thought it was important to file the motion. And even on the lost checks, I will admit I was one of those individuals that I get an email notice in the event that, the city has a system that if your taxes aren't paid, you get a notice. And I sent the check in. I wrote it myself and got the notice. I went down to check to see why I got this notice, knowing that I, in particular, paid my bill, and they never got my check. It goes through a company. So I wrote another one. So I don't know, and I understand there are, 14, I think excise of 14,000. Property taxes are probably, 20,000 bills. So I can see some things may happen or fall through the cracks, but it's upsetting to folks, and I'm not sure what the answer is, Mr. Manager, but I think we need to do something clearly on the excise tax.
Mr. Manager?
Yeah, we've had several of those issues arise since I've started, and there is no appeal process for the demand notice, so I'm looking into maybe a way to get some type of appeal in place so that, because these people aren't people that are notoriously late with their payments. They're people that have always been on time, and for some reason, they didn't get the first bill. So yes, I'm looking into that to see if we can set up some process that they can appeal the demand notice. And as far as the other check, I know there was a complaint to the city council about a lost check. The treasurer took care of that issue, so she did follow up. As far as customer service, we will not stand for that. And I will have a conversation with the treasurer tomorrow to make sure that every citizen that comes to City Hall is treated in a professional manner.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I remember when we had this discussion, demand fees are put in place because there are individuals that do not pay their excise. So we have to, if they know that there is a demand fee, then they're going to pay it. And I'm sure there will be cases where people will say, I didn't get my bill, and I will pay it. So I do understand the other side. But as you mentioned, some folks come in, they're very upset. They always pay their bills, and it's sort of a black mark that they shouldn't have to pay, and they're always on time with the bill. So I appreciate you looking into that, Mr. Manager. That's the motion. Thank you.
Councilor Mercia?
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Some time ago, we did get complaints from a few people that had received a notice that said that they were late paying a particular bill, which was your could have been excise tax at that time, could have been the tax bill. And it's one thing to get a demand notice that says you're late with your bill, but first of all, they didn't get one to begin with, so they didn't know they were late with the bill because they never got the bill in the first place. So what I'm saying is, from observation with last week with the water bill that I was talking about, and since then, many people are coming forward out of the woodwork, and it isn't $8,000, it's $11,000, and I want to say the word accountability. Accountability. We need to reinforce that or retrain to some degree. For example, if someone is getting a bill and it's like an estimate, we don't know that it should be an actual reading or an estimate. There should be stopgaps in place to say, well, gee, Mrs. Smith got 2 estimates. Send someone over there and check it out, because now they need an actual reading. You don't wait years and years and then finally shoot them with a high bill. This isn't fair. And it isn't fair to each one of the residents in the city, because they didn't get an accurate bill, we all had to pay the difference for that, if you can follow my drift. Everybody wants to pay their fair share. I don't think people are trying to gyp the city, so to speak, so by them not getting an accurate bill, and we're the people that have to pay for the remainder of the water that is missing somewhere or not charged to somebody somewhere. So there needs to be levels in place, to checkpoints in place to catch this, whether it be the tax bill that someone never got in the first place but got a demand notice, whether they got an estimated bill for years and finally got an accurate reading. There needs to be more oversight here to help the people here. We don't mind paying our bill, but we don't want to be shocked into doing something that we inadvertently had no control over. So that's the message that I want to say in regards to this. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Mr. Manager, I know I've talked to you about this issue, but hardly a day goes by where I don't get a complaint about either the Treasurer's office or readings in the Water Department. Today, I happen to get one of each. And I've experienced this myself in my office and personally. I went to pay my excise tax bills, not this year, last year. I didn't have the bills with me, but I knew it was about to become due, so I went in to pay. The woman who worked at the counter was very helpful. I was trying to, I had kids, my car, my wife's car, kids' cars. I was trying to pay them all, and she was showing me on the screen, where, this one is, they're not very valuable cars, so the bills are low, $45, $55, and so someone in the Treasurer's office, where we don't have time apparently to give, verbal information over the phone, did have time to go and speak to the clerk, whispered something in the clerk's ear, so that the clerk could tell me to not lean over the counter because I was invading the space of the worker. So I think the person who has time to do that has time to do a few other things as well. I've gotten complaints about how, from other attorneys, that the Treasurer's office in Lowell used to be the best place to deal with in the region, and now it's the worst. I've gotten complaints about the final water reading process in the Water Department. Apparently, the process now is they'll only read the things on Tuesday for final readings. You have to get in 10 business days ahead, and then your results come back Thursday after hours. But they'll also only read the meter 3 days before closing. So if your closing is not, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, then you're out of luck. And then you're too late because you can't get it done in time. So now they want lawyers to escrow money based on estimates, based on historical usage, which seems ridiculous to me. So that happened today, and then I heard also today that the response to the complaints from that and the response to things like Councilor Mercier's motion last week was now to have a final water reading you're going to get a 4-hour window like a cable TV company would give you, and someone, the owner or the broker or somebody's going to have to sit there so the water department can come out and see if the equipment is up to date. And so you're going to have to spend 4 hours waiting for that equipment to be up to date, so we apparently can not have many more complaints like the one last week. Or I got one too this week where the bill was $52,000. A lien certificate was issued in February showing water of $350 due, and then 4 months later it was $52,000. So I think there are issues that need to be addressed, but I also think there are attitudes that need to be addressed, because I think the response to complaints from the council is always a pushback to make customer service even less of a priority. You know, so the response that we need to get more accurate, up-to-date information is met with a response, well, someone's going to have to sit there 4 hours so we can verify your equipment is up to date. That type of thing should be done on a regular basis. We've, I think, appropriated money to convert meters so that meter readings can be taken remotely. There seems to be a lot of room for improvement here. You know, I got a complaint today in the water department where there's a forwarding address for the owner who doesn't live in the property anymore, and the clerk questioned the address, said, well, you put down this address somewhere on the Cape. I did a Google search, and this person, you know, lives somewhere else. It was, a common name, and it wasn't the right person. The address had been correct. So we have time to Google addresses and things like that, and yet not time to take care of the most simple requests. So, and to find out that many thousands of dollars goes years unreported, and then is slapped on some sort of innocent party many years later, it seems inherently unfair. I mean, I think, the demand fee is the least of our issues. I don't have an issue with the demand fee if that's going to prompt more rapid payment. But these departments need attention, and we need to get back to the day when Lowell was the best place in the region to deal with, and not have this situation where, I'm getting a complaint today. I'm sure other councilors are too, and that doesn't reflect well on the city.
Thank you. Mr. Manager?
What I've requested Mr. Lahiff to do is to do an inventory of the highest water bills, the extraordinarily high water bills, and then an explanation of how they got to that point. And then I'm going to give the City Council a report relative to those bills and why they got to that point and how we're going to address those issues if it was not by being diligent on behalf of the city. The second thing, I've already met with the treasurer where I'm dealing with those issues also. But again, customer service. I got one email today about customer service at the water department. They said, suck it up and pay your bill was the allegation. And I've already contacted Mr. Lahiff to look into that. We're not going to tolerate that type of behavior. And I will have a report on the water bills soon, and the treasurer's office also. But I agree with you 100%. The treasurer's office and the water utility can use some help.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Councilor Mercia?
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor, and through you to the city manager. When you check this out, I know that at my house where I live, I have a square thing outside of my house which someone can read without me even being home. They can do that. Now, I don't know if they can go by in a car and just do something. I don't know, but if they can physically come out, they don't need to go in my house. It's outside. I'm understanding that there are times when some electrical thing, separates, and then you can't read that. Somebody should have caught that. Someone should be catching that. And let's not forget this very important thing. The people that are so-called the customers come in here to pay their bill, and they're the very people that are paying the salaries of everybody that's working, whether it's here or in the water department. The customer is the boss, not the people that work here. They're getting paid by the very people that are paying their bills. I hope they understand that. So,
Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Motion passes. No more items on the agenda, so motion to adjourn by Councilor Kennedy, second by Councilor Mercia. Thank you.